signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vang, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the Doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Straight fire. It's fire. Hey, good morning. How are you? Happy Thursday to you, wherever you might be. And welcome to BDST here on YouTube, as we're in our second Thursday now. Glad to have you aboard, wherever you might be. Thanks to Neil, by the way, and our new open. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. Join us on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. Good morning, Reggie. How are you? Good to see you in there already. Hit us up there. You can also hit us up on our text line, which is gaining steam. 540-391-0788. Don't forget, thanks to attorney Ryan Pry, we're having our fan question of the week. Why is your favorite football team your favorite football team? NFL, college, whatever it might be. We're going to go over some of those tomorrow. Got quite a few entrants in that yesterday, so it's kind of cool. We go see Ryan, 540-838-2223, prylawoffice.com. And he's over on 701 West Main Street in Radford. So go see them. Also, obviously, here from the Reiner Family Fencing Studios, we appreciate all those folks, Jason and the crew. You talk about making your home and your property line and your privacy look great. No dig installation system, strong, big fences, beautiful, no damage to your lawn whatsoever. Locally owned fence experts here in the New River Valley, Southwest Virginia. They have vinyl, wood, aluminum, chain link. Finance options available. Get your free quote today. Call Family Fencing 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. I think we have a logo for them too. Look at this. This is cool. Let me see if I can figure this out. This is a logo, which is really nice. Let's see if I can let's see, put me over here. Now I got to put me right here. And then look, boom. See the Family Fencing logo? That's just an example of how good their fences look right there. See? Isn't that cool? Very nice. Very, very nice. And obviously, we're presented by Now Going Forward here on the program by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And I'm very happy about that. We're going to have some folks on here and have some information updates on their next projects, thanks to Jonathan Sweet, Tim Miller, and the crew. BDST presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Also, I mentioned Mark Hunley and all the gang at McClellan. Also want to thank Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee and Company. Go by and see them, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Humid the last few days. So you need make sure your air units are okay. It's going to get cold soon now. You don't want to have that happen. That's what happened to me last year in February. Came back from a basketball trip. You hear that dreaded grinding sound. Wait a minute. There's no warm air coming out anymore. Call Little River. They get there the next day. They assess, order your stuff, help you get your insurance squared away, your homeowners. Boom. One day. All installed. Beauteous. Thank you. And thanks to all those sponsors. We have another big sponsor announcement coming up on Monday. And if you want to sponsor, please reach out. What's great about it, as you just saw, we ran through our sponsors, and you can give them all the time that you want. You don't have to worry about whether or not spots are being played. You don't have to worry about whether or not you're getting your fulfillment. What you pay for, you're getting. And we're all about community and local folks. So Please, if you have any marketing dollars or you're trying to do some tax write-off money, just send it our way here on the program. Be sure to go watch our videos, like and subscribe. It's very important every day. Go in and watch just for a little bit. Watch the interview you want. I know a lot of people, we're getting a lot of people that are going back throughout the day or the evening or the next day and watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. That is all good stuff. And to be honest, when I'm on YouTube, that's what I do. I go back and I watch the people that I watch, and there's quite a few that I have bookmarked that I subscribe to. It's free. And a lot of times it's better to go back if you miss it live, because then all you have to do is fast forward to the interviews you want or the section, because it's usually labeled. I don't know if mine are labeled. I don't really know how to do that, at least yet. But you can see people come up on the screen and go, oh, yeah, I want to see that David Teal or Bill Roth interview, So do that. Thank you so much for that. And please tell your friends. And we got to get the subscriptions, got to keep them going. I mean, we're now over 300. We're moving toward 400, but we got to get that thing going. They constantly push the mechanism. So let's make sure this program expands out so we can be around for the duration. We have a big show today. Had a big show yesterday. You realize yesterday we ended up with 5 guests. See right here, 5. Which was kind of cool, and it was great. It all flowed seamlessly, which is part of the flexibility of doing this way. Today, we're going to have Brian Seigla. He will be the first guest to join us from the Boundary Corner podcast, and I believe that's coming up somewhere around 6:30, 6:45. It doesn't matter in our world. See, in our world, everything is relative. Andy Bitter from Tech Sideline will join us at 7. And Bryan Steinspring, the head football coach at Roanoke College, scheduled to join us about 7:15-ish or so. Get an update on his program. That's exciting, man. Year number 1 for Roanoke. I hope they have a terrific year. Huge fan of Bryan Steinspring. Great person. Great person. And then we finish up the interviews today with the authority on Virginia Tech football, Dwight Vick. We talked to a lot of great people here on the show. And I enjoy every interview. I learn something from everyone, all the regular, the cavalcade. But something about talking to Dwight, because a guy he just knows the game so well. You know, having played it, he's up there in the trenches. You know, I think offensive linemen, they see the game in the light that coaches see it probably more. Maybe the quarterback is right there with them because of the game planning and everything, but something about being on the O-line. They have everything that has to be structured a certain way, and he takes it with him. And so when he talks about it, when he's watching Tech play, Dwight knows exactly, every aspect of what's going on. So it's really cool. It's really cool to pick his brain about it, and it's a lot of fun. By the way, Selma says hello this morning. Yeah, there you go. Hey, good morning, Selma. How are you? Here on the Thursday edition. Had a great time last night. Last night was the first night that I have been to the Blacksburg Sports Club. And Bill Roth was the speaker. He was dynamic. He was terrific. We had table 1. We're right up there by the stage. It was cool. And I appreciate Louise Baker for the invite. Thank her very much for that. That was a lot of fun. And I met a lot of nice people. I believe the host said that the Blacksburg Sports Club has been going on since 1963. So you're looking at 62 years, if my somewhat unstable math doesn't fail me. I think that's right. 62 years, something of that nature. But I met a lot of nice people, and I was there, and people were looking at me going, how do I know you? And then I would say something. I know your voice. Are you on the radio? Do you have? Well, sort of. Yeah, I am. And I explained what's going on, and we made our QR codes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This guy, Mr. I still can't figure out how to upload things on Spotify guy. This guy made a QR code for the show. I know, it's true. Sure, I did. So all you have to do is take a picture. The show comes right up and you subscribe. So I think a few people did that last night. They took the flyers with them, so it was great. But that was fun. And Bill was outstanding. Bill gives an assessment of how the team looks offensively, defensively. And then they ask questions from the crowd. It's really well done. I don't know if anybody knows, is that Bill Roth? He's pretty good. That Bill Roth guy is pretty good. Didn't know if you knew that. 12-time broadcaster of the year, by the way. That's a dozen. So it was fun. So it was wonderful. If any of the people there, I told them when the show was. I know it might be a little early, so you can go back and watch it on YouTube. A lot of long-standing Tech supporters there, business owners. So if any of you are tuned in today or this morning, great to meet you last night. Thanks for all the kind words about the show. Some people were going back talking about the first run of the show from 2001 on. And I had one gentleman come talk to me about when we broke the news about the ACC. He said he remembered that show. He was in his car, and he heard all these rumors. And then they got on, and then we had the announcement shortly after. So that was kind of cool to talk to him about that. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun last night. So thank you again, Louise, and all the folks at the Blacksburg Sports Club. And Bill was making several references about the show during his presentation. So I appreciate that. It was good. So we're loaded again today. And again, join us in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room. By the way, things just keep getting a little bit better. A lot of times when you see me do this on the screen, see right there? When you see the avatar, that's because I'm usually taking a drink, and how should I say this? My chosen beverage, my one addiction of life is not a sponsor on the program. So one of the no-nos is you can't just give free things like that. But look what Wayne from Ohio, knowing, of course, that I am a Bigfoot enthusiast. Can everybody see that? Look at that. I now have a Bigfoot Believe bottle holder. How about that? I believe that was Wayne. Wayne, was that you? Whomever it was, thank you. That just showed up here at the house yesterday. I was like, what's this package? I didn't order anything like that. I tear it open and boom. But thank you so much. That's cool. Yeah, look at that. I mean, I still probably won't drink on the air because I know nobody wants to see that, but that was pretty cool. And yes, by the way, I am working on Dr. Jeff Meldrum, trying to get him on the program. Professor of anthropology at Idaho State University. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk Bigfoot here on the new show, as we did the old show. It's going to happen. Can you imagine being out in the woods? Just think about if you're out in the woods somewhere. Let's say you're taking a long time trip across the country and you're just saying, you know what, this is going to be great. We're out here in the great Northwest. Great camping. Got a lake or something out there, the mountains, and got the fire going. Right, as you're sitting there roasting your 11th hot dog of the evening, all of a sudden you just hear somehow I don't think hot dog number 11 is going to go down smoothly. And as a matter of fact, the previous 10 would probably start forcing their way out. Right? But in any event, Bigfoot guy. No, I haven't had an encounter. No, I'm not naive. I know that so many of it's fake. I get it. But if you follow this program for 15 years, you know that that's something I grew up with. My dad was a big fan of the lore. And I have my book somewhere. Let me grab it here. Hang on. Oh, by the way, go Bobcats. Here we go. Look at this right here. See this right here? This was the first book. This is my dad's book. Can you see that with the glare? That's better. The Bigfoot case book. See that? And I read this cover to cover. Of course, that's Patty from the Patterson-Gimlin film right there. And I don't know what your thoughts are on it. It's just legend. It's myth. It's fun. Do I think there used to be something there? If not now, yeah, I do. We went out to Radford University basketball, went out to Albuquerque. 2004, Byron Samuels was the head coach. We played at the Pit in New Mexico, played a couple of games out there in the tournament, 2 or 3 games, can't remember. And matter of fact, I was out there with my broadcast partner at the time, Jeff Kleppen, and Drew Dickerson was the SID. And we went on an expedition, and he wanted to be called an American Indian. He didn't want to be called Native American. He said that's what white man decided to call us. That's what he said. I'm just telling you what he said. Anyway, he was terrific. He was a guy. He took us up to this clearing, and we got up to this wonderful place, and it was just, wow. Felt like you could see the entire state of New Mexico down below. And just started chatting up with him, and I asked him flat out about Bigfoot, and he was, almost before I finished the question, he completely was talking about the stories he had heard and how it wasn't even a question in his tribe. In his tribe, it was, yeah. Why? Do you not believe in Bigfoot? That's kind of what it was. Of course, he was calling him Sasquatch. Do you not believe? Are there people talking about cave paintings? He was talking about the elders of his tribe, with things that they saw and how it was handed down. So, all this stuff just isn't made up. I know people try to dismiss it immediately, and I get it. People are people. Human beings are human beings, and there's a lot of disingenuous things out there. But you can tell the fake stuff pretty easy. So, yeah. Tony says, I bet he was a Redskin fan, too, and there's no question. He was terrific. Hey, good morning, Jimmy. How are you? Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room here on this Thursday. It's hard to believe we're getting close to the end of week number 2 of the new program. But here we are. We're less than, I wouldn't say less. We're about 48 hours away. Let's see, what is it? 6/17. First game's at 12. 54 hours away from the first college football game of 2025 this weekend. That's pretty cool. Iowa State, Kansas State, big conference battle right off the bat. 5 games on Saturday. Speaking of Idaho State, see how things come together here on the program. Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Idaho State plays UNLV. Fresno State, Kansas, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, Stanford, and Hawaii. So there's your first slate of games on Saturday. So there are games, at least. It looks like they're all on TV. The only one, I'm sure you can find it. The only one that's not listed is this, let me see here. Is the Idaho State game? Yeah. Everything else is on. Iowa State, Kansas State. That's on ESPN. Fresno State, Kansas is on Fox that evening. CBS Sports Network. And they do a nice job, by the way. Western Kentucky, Sam Houston, Conference USA. And then CBS and Paramount will have Stanford and Hawaii at 7:30. And it is here. And there was a buzz last night at the Blacksburg Sports Club. And I think Bill got people even more excited about his optimism. And I'll tell you this, the enthusiasm around it all for Bill, I can tell, are the 2 new coordinators, especially Coach Montgomery. And what it revealed to me last night, and what we've already heard so far in the 2 weeks here on the program, is that it was pretty bad from a coordinator standpoint. As we suggested and as we kind of knew last few years on the radio show during Brent Pry's startup, we kind of knew, didn't we? We may not have known at the time 100%, and I know there may have been hope there, but Chris Marv and Tyler Bowen were not good hires when it happened. And in retrospect, they were not good hires in any way, shape, or form. And it's nothing against those two guys at all. It's nothing against those two guys. They just weren't ready. And when you're a first-time head coach, we said this day one, though. I know you want to have your people in there, but having an experienced guy, tried that with Joe Rudolph, but he fell out of favor with everything pretty quickly, and he left. The offensive line coach went to Notre Dame. But when you come in and you don't have that older, wiser voice that's seen it, been there, done it, it's tough. And I think it really kind of restrained what this program could do, and I think Brent Pry recognizes that now. And sometimes you need that time as a young coach. But from what Bill was talking about last night, I'm telling you what, sounds like this team is it's a 180 with their preparedness going into the season and their mindset. And Jarrett Ferguson has made an incredible impact in the weight room. Mike Gentry, disciple. You know, we used to have Frank Beamer on the show all the time from 2001 to 2010, and Coach Beamer always said it was Mike Gentry's program. That's why we are who we are. And I think Jarrett Ferguson's kind of got that same effect, at least early on, since he got here being the head strength coach. Love to get him here on the program here soon. But I'll say this, just listening to Bill last night at the Blacksburg Sports Club, it really feels like, at least going in, that Brent Pry got both of these hires right. Now, I don't know if it's going to work out that way. I mean, Bill was very quick to say, look, all this being said, they have to go out and they have to get it done. They have to get it done. And Sam Seifkus looks a lot like Coach McDaniel for the Dolphins. Bill was talking about that. He doesn't look like a head coach. But he's a guy who's been there with the Arizona Cardinals and the Vikings in the NFL. He was at Wofford as an offensive coordinator. So the coordinators are a massive upgrade. Massive upgrade. And I think Bill's very encouraged by that. And he's very encouraged by how the players have responded to each of these coordinators. But, Tech has 30 new guys. And there's a lot of unknown about it. A lot of unknown. But the one thing that Bill also talked about last night was the difference in Kyron Drones. And I think we talk about this all the time, and we all deal with it. The lack of self-awareness, especially in people in position of authority, still astounds me to this day. But Bill said that Kyron Drones had an amazing bout with self-awareness after the failed 2024 season. And I thought it was very interesting the way he and how open he was about it. And, if you go back and if you check out Bill and Mike's podcast, it is Kyron Drones saying, look, I was immature. I let my head get blown off with everything going into it last year. And then all of a sudden, here we are picked to be this really, really, really good team. And here I am down here working out with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And, man, people are saying if I have a big year, I might sneak in there and be a Heisman Trophy candidate. He didn't handle it at all. Didn't handle it. And then he got hurt a couple times. But he said that Drones started talking about the Vanderbilt game right off the bat. He knew something wasn't right about himself. And it never, ever came back. Except for the Miami game when Tech completely outplayed them and won the game. a loss. So that, I think, is huge too. And I think, I've kind of read between the lines a little bit the way Bill and Mike Burnett both have said, look, we have to keep Kyron Drones healthy. And I've kind of chalked it all up to, wow, that must mean that there's very little behind him. Pop Watson, did he regress? What is it? But no, I think it's a combination probably of that. There is separation about how far Kyron Drones is ahead of the rest. But I think it's because of that new mindset that Bill's saying, look, we need him out there. We want him out there. Have to have him out there. So it's not just the fact that there's a huge separation between first and second team at that position, but also because you want the new version of this guy out there, and maybe now he can come and fulfill his destiny this year. But that's what's great about the preseason, man. That we don't know anything, really. Yay, Jim. Good to see you. Jim McAllister, it was great. Great to sit with you last night, Jim. Yeah, it was a big crowd. It was fun. Appreciate Jim. Great to see him. Enjoy retirement, my friend. You earned it. Big crowd. Sold out. There wasn't an empty chair last night over at the country club. But that's what's so much fun about this time of year. I think that adds to the excitement. Think about Florida State. They were coming off an undefeated season. Quarterback got hurt. They got screwed out of the playoff. The next year, they're picked to win the league. They had spent a whole lot of NIL money, the Seminoles, last year, going into last year. And then you look up, and they're 1-9. What? And people are thinking Mike Norvell is going to get canned before the end of the year, not even a full calendar year after they went undefeated. Wow. So we don't know anything. The pundits know nothing. I don't know anything. You just gather all this information, about what people think and that have seen it up close. But you don't know anything. You really don't. And I think that adds to the intrigue of it. And I think for some reason it really makes football more unique and proves how far and away it is our now new national pastime. Whether you're talking about the high school level, so much uncertainty going into the foundation games tomorrow, kickoff next week, week 0 coming up. You think Iowa State and Kansas State have any idea how they're going to be? They may in their minds. But something Bill pointed out last night was, the thing that he doesn't know, he knows Tech's team. He's been around them enough. But people were asking about the rest of the league, and Bill's just like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the league. I don't know who they have. I don't know what they look like. They've lost so many because that's just where we are in college football. Now, I thought it was an astute point because you don't know. You don't know how much money's been spent. You don't know. Virginia spent a lot of money on their roster. Virginia had money, and they utilized it all because we've talked about this last week. I think I even mentioned it earlier this week. I mean, what's going on down there with Tony Elliott mirrors what's happening here in Blacksburg with Brent Pry, two guys who were hired at the same time and who haven't had success. So there's desperate times in Charlottesville and a lot of questions around athletic leadership. Very similar, kind of eerie, how that's paralleled one another. But the one thing we do know is there's always going to be somebody or multiple teams that end up, Indiana last year being an example, that end up being much better than you think. SMU last year. And I told this story earlier in the week. And my athletic director, Robert Lindenberg, who worked at SMU and was living in Dallas for years, would talk about how SMU's never worried about money. And remember the way that I explained it when they needed a certain amount of money to get out of their league and get in the ACC? Bill explained it the exact same way last night. Because Dave Brain was there. It was great to see Dave Brain. I haven't seen Dave in years. It's great to see him there. He hired Bill twice, once at Marshall and then once at Virginia Tech. And he chimed in from the crowd and asked Bill to tell his SMU story about how they raise money. And remember how I parlayed it, and you may not have believed it, but it was exactly the way Bill did it on the stage last night. SMU agreed to come in the ACC and said, we don't care about your TV revenue. Think about this position of power that Southern Methodist University wielded. That's why they were in the playoff last year. And that's why they're picked third this year. And they're going to be a factor going forward. Eventually, they'll get there in basketball. But they're definitely going to stay there in football, I think, in this league. It was exactly how we said. After they didn't need the TV money, there are 5 multi-billionaires, one of which is almost a trillionaire, down in Dallas, 5 SMU grads, and that's their entire fundraising base. Same thing Robert used to talk about. You're saying, what? Why is Virginia Tech struggling so much with all the fundraising, all the things they're having to do? What do you mean 5? 5. 5. 5. We're going to need, Bill was doing it last night. 50. You're good for your 50 million? Great. Are you good? Great. Oh, you're going to give 100. Oh, you're going to give 100 million. Wow. Thank you. You're going to match his. Oh, wait a minute. You're going to match his 100. So that's one. Okay. So we've got 500 million. Okay. Okay. There you go. ACC. Listen. Yeah, we'll come in and don't worry. Tell the other members we don't need. Don't fret about your revenue, your TV revenue. You don't have to share it with us. Yeah, we got it. We got it right here in the room. I just got it. Well, what do you mean? Yeah, we just got $500 million. We're good. We're good. Thanks. We'll see you. We'll see you at the ACC media kickoff. True story. And Bill relayed it last night at the Blacksburg Sports Club. SMU is a problem in terms of they're not going away anytime soon. The problem being, if you're trying to look at your own finances, don't compare yourself to SMU. And they're in a unique situation. And they have folks who have a chip on their shoulder because they were not part of any expansion in the Big 12. They were left out of every conversation. It made no sense. And I'm guessing now with what we know, right? With what we know, I think it probably means that there were some people that were either jealous or didn't have the foresight to, well, they've got a lot of money. Don't you think they would benefit our league? Was it Baylor? Was it TCU? I mean, who was it that kind of nixed all that? I don't know. I mean, Texas was leaving to go to the SEC to join Texas A&M. But Bill said it went just like we talked about, and as Robert told me years ago. That's all they did. That's all they needed to do when they met. They got the board in there. All those guys. Imagine that. All those guys are on the board. Huh. Boom, 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 boom. The advantages that private schools have over public schools in certain aspects is phenomenal. And that's what Virginia Tech has to go through. And Bill tried to explain that last night. I think we just forget. But all state schools, Tech, Virginia, Radford, William & Mary, JMU, VCU, Old Dominion, you don't have to go through protocol. Lots of rules, lots of things in place that make it very difficult. Yeah, you're right, Wayne. They came in and they just embarrassed ACC teams. And they're going to continue to be a contender. SMU is not going away in football. There's too many people that want to make it work, including the 5 multi-billionaires who will always donate. How much you think that helps their taxes? On top of they probably make it back up with their business investments the whole next calendar year anyway. But they went around the room. Blows my mind. How much money do we need? $300 million. Done. Make the call. Wow, you talk about making a statement with a position of power. And remember, they sent out a release. We read the release back on the radio show. They wanted everybody to know. They wanted to make a note here and just say, all right, you messed with us for years. Big 12, you made a big mistake. ACC, thank you. We're going to help you. And they have. They've helped the football side of it. 100% they have. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And it's why, earlier we had the conversation this week. I had a texter like, how in the world can Notre Dame not join one of these leagues if these leagues are so powerful? Notre Dame's a private school. Notre Dame's a private school that can do whatever the hell it wants. And it has, and it will. That's why they're more powerful than the SEC and the Big Ten combined. And because the people who donate and give Notre Dame their millions and billions, they value the independence of their alma mater even more than the people within the athletic department. And when we played up there a few years ago, we being Radford University basketball, right here, I talked to administrators. I don't just talk to the radio people and the people who work there. I talked to some people there that are on the food chain. And as I said, theoretically, what would tempt you to go to the Big Ten, the SEC? The answer I got was there's nothing. There's nothing they can offer. How about that? So as much as, they all get up there and they dictate what's going on, in sports, things like that. Greg Sankey can go up there and pontificate and stick his chest out. They know they have no power of the Golden Domers. I said, do you guys ever worry? Do you ever worry that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to just vote you out of the playoff? They can't. They have no power to. That would devastate them more than it would benefit them. There's a massive arrogance in South Bend, but hey, it's truth. It's truth. Truth can sometimes come across as arrogance, and it might be frustrating, but it's truth. And Notre Dame lives it every day as a private entity, and it's why you're always going to see them part of the playoff, and it's why you can stop speculating they're never going to join a league in football. ACC fell down the hill, rolled over backwards like Jack and Jill. Or was it Jack? I don't know. Somehow I believe that both fell down the hill. When Notre Dame said they would put all their other sports in the league, one catch, we'll play some ACC games because that helps us with scheduling. But no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to play football there. Okay, that's okay. Can we put your flag up at the football? No, you can't put it up at football media days. We're not playing football there. We're not a football member. You can put it up anywhere else. I like that, Wayne. You're right. Here's actual footage when they had the last meetings about the expanded TV deals in the playoff. Here is actual footage of the representatives at Notre Dame. You see that coming down the hallway, wherever you might be, and it's self-explanatory. Notre Dame is the Selma Hayek of college football. Bill pointed out last night, you know that Notre Dame has the knowledge, and I was enlightened. They only have to be in the playoff every 6 years before they make up every investment that they've made into their programs, the way things are structured with them being an independent and part of everything. And they just recently did that. Mission accomplished. Oh, my goodness. Who knows what happens if they win the whole thing? You can't exaggerate the amount of hand like George Costanza had for just a brief while with the piano player that Notre Dame has and will likely always have. Why do you think Joe Rudolph went to Notre Dame? Why do you think Notre Dame is still mentioned as the holy grail of college football? It has more to do than just whether or not they're competing for national championships, which you can't argue they haven't been. But in the greater scheme of things for them, I won't say it just doesn't matter, because it does, but I won't go on the Bill Murray meatballs kick. But at the same time, it doesn't matter as much. As long as they're hanging around, as long as they're in the tournament, which is now with the expanded field, they're doing just fine. Doing just fine. And I've had several people, by the way, and I appreciate it. A lot of brand new folks that I hear from on the text line. Send us a text, by the way. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the text line, let me know. 540-391-0788. Ask me about what conference Notre Dame's going to join, and that is none of them. And I remember back when they were brought into the ACC for all their other sports, people kept saying, hey, it's only going to be a matter of time. ACC is going to force Notre Dame to join our league full time, and we're going to kick them out. Yeah. How's that going? How's that going? Morning, Rodney. How are you? All right, so Rodney, who writes for The Patriot and Mike Williams. Rodney, I need your critique of my first column. I think it comes out today, if that's right, if I'm not mistaken. So you got to let me know. Never in any way, shape, or form consider myself to be a writer. So hopefully it comes across okay. Need your honest critique, Rodney. But yeah, it was really good last night at the Blacksburg Sports Club. We had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But I like that comparison. Notre Dame's the Selma Hayek of college football. And you walk around those shiny, they patented that when you see their football helmet, it's a different gold than anybody else in the country. It's even more shiny than it used to be. I don't know what they did or what concoction they put in there. But they now have that color of shiny gold helmet. They have that shiny gold copyrighted. How about that? So nobody else has it. Nobody else has it. But that's just more of the things that you learned last night. Yeah. All right. Coming up, Andy Bitter is going to join us in just a little bit. Bryan Steinspring, the head football coach at Roanoke College, and then Dwight Vick. But we are excited right now. Joining us, and they had a huge podcast last night, The Boundary Corner. The man who created that wonderful podcast, Brian Seigla. Brian, how are you? Good morning. Welcome to the new version of the program.
Rick, thank you so much for having me on. And you're right. Last night was a big night. We're kind of doing a little burning the candle at both ends here.
Hey, that's great. I was watching. You look great. You had all four guys up there, man. That's the first big powwow, all right? Getting ready for the season.
Yeah, we've been doing that now. This is the fourth year that we've done a preview panel. We usually have anywhere between 5 and 10 guests on, kind of break it up into different segments. Last
cool.
night we had 2 segments, had 3 guys on, 3 great guys on each segment there, and yeah, it was a blast, and it's always a good way to kick off the season and kind of some ways get some frustrations out, but also get excited about what potentially could happen and what might be in store for the Hokies this year.
All right, so take us through what the panel. First of all, your own thoughts. I know I love the way you guys go, and everybody just kind of talks about how they feel about things. But what was the consensus, and what's your vibe now? I mean, last year so many expectations. You and I talked about it on the show. Didn't work out that way. I just mentioned how Bill had a great conversation with Kyron Drones, and he kind of said, you know what, I kind of let my head get blown off, and then I didn't handle. Expected to be this guy. So what about you? How are you looking at it now? And apparently these 2 new coordinators just kind of set things in a positive direction.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the discussions that we had last year is that the concern was always the experience of the coordinators, and that problem kind of took care of itself, both firing Marv at the end of the season, and then obviously Tyler Bowen taking a trip up there to Columbus. So I'm quietly optimistic at this point. I don't want to give this team the gas that I gave them last year, but I feel like this is the best staff that Coach Pry has had his entire tenure in Blacksburg. Whether that translates to any significantly more wins in 2025 than we saw in 2024, I think a lot of that's going to come down to Kyron Drones and whether this team can stay healthy. But I think talent-wise and, again, staff-wise, this team has set itself up for better success than any team Pry's had to this point.
The one thing that stands out, Coach Montgomery's philosophies and what he has done, and Bill was talking about that last night at the Blacksburg Sports Club and how his offenses have been so consistent and how, they burned Tech, again in the bowl game against Tulsa, right? I mean, and how at Baylor, all these records they set. Now he had 2 really good quarterbacks, one being, top pick in the NFL draft, with RG3. But nonetheless, I mean, this guy has seen it all. There's not a defense that he hasn't had to adjust to. You're going to see some things this year, I think, potentially, Brian, from a Tech offense, especially with Kyron Drones there in his final year, that they haven't seen ever.
Yeah, I think we're going to run a lot of plays. When you look at the Montgomery offenses, they run on average 15 to 20 more plays than what the average offense runs in college football. So you're going to expect a good amount of opportunities on offense to move the ball up and down the field to put some points on the board. But within that, it's still, you wouldn't call it necessarily run first, but it's certainly run oriented from an air raid perspective. Like they're not that typical air raid where it's just get the ball out of the quarterback's hands, let the receivers do all the work. They still have a focus on the running game. So Montgomery's always had a decent amount of balance for running a more air raid philosophy offense. So I'm excited to see what we can do with that.
Apparently Sam Seifkus is kind of like Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins. You don't necessarily think that he's a head coach, right? Who's that guy? He could be a stockbroker, but
that's right.
He's got everybody's attention in the way he goes about it. He's a very cerebral guy. And so that also has folks around there very excited. The guys listen, they pay attention. They're getting advice they haven't heard before as a collegiate player. I mean, these are things you really like to hear going into a season with new hires.
Yeah, I think when you looked at the Hokies of the Pry regime, one thing that you could talk about is that especially in September, they didn't always look prepared for what was coming at them, especially at the start of games. I don't think you're going to see that from a Sam Seifkus defense. He is a guy that is very detail-oriented, and he is a guy that can mold what he does from a defensive front perspective to match what the team is bringing to the table from an offensive perspective. So I'm excited about that aspect of it. And it's been good to kind of see some of the videos from practice because he is a cerebral guy. He is a guy that you can tell is thinking about it. But we had James Jonkum on, and he was talking about, Sam can get fired up. And he's like, he'll say some things. You're like, okay, well, you don't expect that to come out of his mouth and things like that. But good to see that there's those moments of fire and passion mixed in with that more cerebral approach to the game.
And that's coming across none more so than from the weight room. And this addition of Jarrett Ferguson, you talk about maybe a low-key thing that happened that now has been maybe the biggest difference. And everyone's raving about the mindset. He stays on those guys. He's an old school guy, under Mike Gentry, but he's also got a lot of modern technology. He's kind of blending it all together, and apparently it's had a tremendous effect. In other words, Tech fans may not recognize their players this year in a good way with how good they're going to look in uniform.
Yeah, I think that's going to be something that we need to keep an eye on, because when we look at last year's team, the two biggest areas where we struggled was third quarter and the last 2 minutes of games. And it looked like conditioning in particular was a problem for a lot of these players last year. Just the inability to close out games. You look at the history of Pry during his time in Blacksburg. It's been one-score losses have been the name of the game. And the difference between being an above average team and a 6-6 team that, is happy just to go to a bowl. That's been the difference. And if you're conditioned and you're able to play to the whistle the same way you were in the first half all through the second half, that's going to make a difference.
Brian Seigla joining us on the program from the Boundary Corner podcast. If you missed it last night, the whole panel was there. They were having a great conversation. Check it out as you get ready to go now as we get closer and closer to the start of the kickoff of 2025. Brent Pry made the statement at the ACC media kickoff. It felt like, looking back on it, that we were, quote, reinventing the wheel every week, making things look a lot harder than they ever should have been, and not adjusting at all when other teams would adjust. And that had to be a tough acknowledgement for a head coach like that.
Yeah, and I think, when he talks about, having those difficult conversations, and it was good to see that, some of those difficult conversations were being had with the staff this offseason, whether it was, moving on from your DC and your offensive line coach, or, kind of reevaluating what you want from the coordinator positions. Yeah, I think there was a good amount of reflection of some of the decisions that were made earlier in his tenure here, and trying to right those wrongs as much as you can in an off-season cycle. And I feel like, getting a guy like Montgomery, the biggest thing for me is Matt Moore coming on board.
Yeah.
Because offensive line was, outside of conditioning, the biggest problem with the team last year, in my opinion. So you get a guy like Matt Moore, as Dion did, he brought his own Louis with him here. You got Al Tuner and you got Tomas Remak coming in, already, making some waves there, and a couple other guys, behind him that should, be pretty good for us in the future. I'm excited. I think this is going to be an improved offensive line at minimum, even despite, a Xavier Chaplin moving on to another location there. It's just going to be, can they put all the pieces together with how many new faces we have?
Yeah, it isn't strange you can lose all 5 starters, but yet you bring in 5 new ones and everybody's more excited about the offensive line than they were a year ago. It's crazy. You never hear that at all.
Yeah. It's very it's a unique situation, because really, Johnny Garrett and Laith Ganem injured and never really kind of got back into the rotation. Those are really the only 2 guys that have played significant snaps with the Hokies, and neither of them were full-time starters in 2024.
Well, when you look at the schedule, realistically, what did you guys do predictions? Did you do record predictions or anything like that yet?
So we had Dwight Vick and Chris Lester on a week ago, and we did our predictions with them, and we got the predictions from the panel last night. And we saw about kind of what I expected, and it's about where I'm landing. I think if things go as well as they could go, I think this could be an 8-win team. And I think, on the other end of that, we had someone throw, 5 wins out there last night. And if you have some injuries and things don't quite, stack the way you want them to, I could definitely see something as low as that. I've landed at 8. I'm feeling a little bit optimistic, again, quietly optimistic about what Pry has put together from a staff standpoint.
Yeah.
I like the talent that's coming back and that's came in. And I think it's going to be really coming down to, can all of those new moving parts fit together in a way that we can, not get out of September again with, two big zeros in those games against the SEC. So if we can win at least one of those between South Carolina and Vanderbilt, I think that'll put us better on a very easy track until November, when you start getting the Louisvilles, the Miamis, coming on the schedule, because that part of the schedule is going to be very difficult. And if we get to that part of the schedule, I could see us, needing to be at least at 5 wins if we wanted to make a bowl by the time November rolls around. So that's kind of, when I'm looking at the schedule, that September is a lot more important this year than it has been maybe in the last few years.
Agreed. It sets up potentially. It could get off to a great start. All right, so what's going on with the Boundary Corner? What do you guys got coming up here heading into the weekend?
Well, we got our South Carolina preview is going to be on Tuesday next week. We have a very special interview with Roland Lazenby that we're going to be providing a little bit more details on here pretty soon. That's going to drop next week as well. And then we're going to roll into the season and see how it happens down there in Atlanta.
Well, we'll keep watching Boundary Corner. You guys do an outstanding job, and appreciate you being part of our new program. We're copying you, man. We went into the podcast video age here. It's a little scary, but it's going okay so far.
Hey, you know what? I'm a StreamYard guru. If you need any tips or tricks, just let me know.
I will. Yeah, you're in trouble now because I'm going to hit you up now. Absolutely. All right, my friend, listen, have a great rest of the week and weekend, and we'll be watching, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Appreciate it, Rick. You have a good one.
All right, take care, man. There you go. That's Brian Seigla here from the Boundary Corner, and that's great. He's using the same thing we are. He's using the StreamYard. That's what I use. You'll give them props. It's been great so far. It really has. Appreciate them. Good stuff. They were fun last night on the Boundary Corner podcast. Check them out. They do a great job. Hour number 2 is forthcoming. So we'll go ahead and we'll get into our hour number 2. Let me go ahead and find it. It takes a little while to get navigated through here, but let me do this. Here we go. Family fencing. I need that one. Yeah, family fencing. See the logo? We got a logo now. That's better than a scroll. Family fencing. Sponsor of the BDST studios here. They have a no-dig installation system. They build you a beautiful fence, no big holes, no mess. Finance options are available. Locally owned fence experts here in the Newberry Valley, Southwest Virginia. And they make it very easy for you to get a free quote and find out what you might need. Call Family Fencing, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Family Fencing, building better fences, no digging required. And a strong logo, I think. I think that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Here, there we go. So we made a big announcement as well about the program. We did that at the beginning of this week because BDST is now presented by the Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And that's very exciting for all of us, for me. Jonathan Sweet, being a Pulaski County native. And we're going to have all sorts of folks on from their office, and we're going to have lots of wonderful announcements and things to keep up with what's going on with them and how they continue to grow, promote everything they're doing. Been some tough times. Pulaski, and especially the town of Pulaski, and all the some industry that left, but they have come in, assessed what needs to be done in certain areas, especially with recreation and sports, and it's starting to really explode. So it's great to kind of be a small little part of that. So thank you so much, Pulaski County. And very excited, very, very excited to have them and to be presented by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment and to have Little River Heating and Air at 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. There's not a problem they can't solve. So go, enjoy, and get everything taken care of that you need to have taken care of. Coming up in just a little bit, Andy Bitter will join us from Tech Sideline, and then we'll be joined by Bryan Steinspring, shortly thereafter, and then Dwight Vick in our final interview. So all that's coming up here on the program as we segue into hour number 2. Good stuff there from Brian Seigla. But continuing the conversation we just had, it's kind of unknown. A lot of speculation. And that's why I really, I know it's a game that around here may not draw a lot of immediate interest, but it's still a conference game. It's still Power 4 teams. Big 12 game on Saturday. Watch how they handle their business. Watch how things unfold. Let's see how they go about doing what they do. Yeah, dog behind the fence. Yeah, I like that. Yes. That's a good logo. I think Jason Green came up with that logo. Family. Oh, you want to see it? Text line wanting to see the Bobcats mini helmet. I got this. Richie Davis gave me this because this is their 2023 state title. Can y'all see that? One side, it's got that. And then, of course, the classic helmet. This helmet is what Radford Bobcats football is. And I think I got this too because we went on a big mission to have common sense prevail once Coach Chris got there to bring this back. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, Rick, you hate black uniforms. No, not when it's the primary color and there's no other helmet that makes any sense for Radford Bobcats football than this. Don't want a gold face mask. I want it all black. Coach Lindenberg designed this right here. That's why it's special. Give me the gold and white stripe down the middle. You went away from the formula, went to a white helmet, and you paid the price. And now it's back. And you win a state title. You're welcome. You're welcome, Bobcat Nation. By the way, thank you so much. I believe this is Wayne. There you go. I now have my beverage holder. Yeah, you better believe because he's real. That guy's real. They're just smarter than all of us. That's all. That's why they hide. Hang on. I'm going to take a beverage out of my new container. Nectar of the gods. Thank you, Wayne. That's pretty cool. That will be heavily utilized. And it works very well. That's still ice cold, by the way. Ice cold. So Bryan Steinspring and Dwight Vick coming up. Joining us now on the program. There he is. He is the lead writer for Tech Sideline. He's the man. He's Andy Bitter. AB, how are you, my friend?
Good. Literally just woke up.
I'm sorry.
When I did it on the phone before, it was really easy to be like, oh, yeah, no, I've been here the whole time.
I'm good.
Now it's just like slept through the initial alarm. Second one goes off. I'm like, oh, that's right. 7 o'clock on the dot. So yes, I'm wide awake right now. Yes.
You look great, though. You look the part. That's all.
Oh, well, I threw on a collared shirt now. We got this video here. I have to look presentable somewhat.
Well, we had to adjust, right? Because you've got kid duty here in just a little while. So we had to kind of adjust a little bit.
Yeah, she's still sleeping right now. So.
Of course she is. Yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. All right, let's get right into it, man. I've been waiting. I've been talking to a lot of people. I really want to get your take on Witt's proposal and your impressions of Monday and how it went.
Yeah, I thought it was a good presentation. I thought it was a needed presentation. I think it got the Board of Visitors' attention. I don't know how anybody could go through that and not, kind of perk up when they see that and go, oh, these are some serious issues here. And you see where Virginia Tech stands in the whole thing. I thought it was well presented in a clear and concise way. It sounds like it has spurred some action from the Board of Visitors. They're going to come up with a plan within 6 weeks to try to get some more money. I don't think it's going to all the money's going to come in immediately, but there's going to be some that comes in now, then some then over the winter and some over the spring in an ideal world that they kind of, turn some stones over and find ways to better fund this athletic department. And, it's something they need. This is a game where money matters more than it ever has before.
Right.
And Virginia Tech simply just doesn't have the most of that right now. It's at near the bottom of public schools, at least. And when you compare it to peer institutions, it just doesn't stack up as well as it should. And now, money's not everything. I think, you add $50 million more dollars to the athletic department budget, which I don't know if they will. That's the ask that Whit Babcock has. I don't know if that means that all of a sudden this coaching staff figures out how to stop Rutgers from running the same play over and over throughout an entire game. I mean, there are things that need to just happen that the money's not going to fix. But in the big picture, better funded programs, athletic departments fare better. And if you want to have a fair fight, you got to have the same kind of funding.
And I guess one of the things they've addressed early, they look at the schedule. Bill last night at the Blacksburg Sports Club was talking about how TVs is obviously more important than ever, and in the Old Dominion series, and they're going to look at the scheduling. I mean, certain money's locked in, the money they're going to make just by playing in the game on Sunday down in Atlanta, things like that. So there's lots of different ways to try to uncover that revenue, right, that Whit was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, viewership is a big part of it now, and success is a big part of it. There's two initiatives that the ACC has that you can make a lot more from your TV revenue. The difference from the top to the bottom is $30 million. You can make up to $65 million a year and down to $35 million. Well, that's a pretty significant gap. I mean, imagine being an athletic director trying to budget and go, well, I don't know exactly what we're going to get on this thing. And I think Tech right now is in like the 45 million. They're sort of in the middle, 9th and 10th on viewership. So, imagine if you can get on the top end of that and be a competitive team again. Well, that could be 20 million of it right there. You get a little bit more university support. I know that's always a tough ask in this day of an increasing, university costs. I mean, the price of college is sky high and it's only going higher. You don't want to really pass that burden on to students.
Right.
And yet that's sort of how things are going right now. So, maybe a little bit of help on that front. Student fees are adding like $10 million this year. I don't know if you want to keep raising student fees because that just feels gross.
Yeah.
Making students pay more so that other students, athletes, can get paid. That's just gross. I don't know if
no, it is.
I don't think the Board of Visitors wants to do that necessarily, but a slight increase there. Maybe they free up some other funds university-wise. That could get some of the number. Whit Babcock has talked about something in like the Chicken Hill lot area that's like sort of an entertainment district that could just be like a revenue generator. Now that's an investment they have to make.
Well,
but you put sort of like a, bar area or something like that down there before games that could generate revenue before games. Iowa State is doing something like that. It's called Sci-Town, Lambeau Field, the Milwaukee Bucks. They all kind of have these things, these places that people can congregate before a game. That could open up a revenue stream. If they renovate Castle, I know that's a big investment, but right now they're getting nothing from Castle. I mean, they are losing money on Castle almost because they don't have luxury suites. And you can, it's not a big stadium to begin with, and they don't have luxury suites, and that's really where you make the money on stuff like that. That's an advantage other schools have. So that's an investment that they can make that pays off in the long run, but you kind of have to put that money in up front to see it long term. I mean, these are all things that you can do to get that number. It's not going to be one thing that you just twist the money dial, and all of a sudden
right.
all this stuff starts flowing in. But this is the kind of stuff that that those are huge investments. Some of those things that they have to do, but that does pay off in the long run.
Andy Bitter joining us on the program, the senior writer for Tech Sideline, and the discrepancy too. Learning about. You already know it because, I work at a state school too. So the difference, though, especially in the ACC, and it's so unique. You have so many schools that are private, so many that are public. But, boy, what a different world those two exist in, even though they're in the same league. And what is easier to do for the private schools that the public schools kind of have to go through so many different hoops and rules and regulations. It's strange. It's strange.
Yeah, I mean, Virginia has, laws about how much a university can support athletics. It can't pay money for facilities. That becomes a problem in this whole thing. There's a limit to how much student fees can go up. And again, I think that's a good rule. You don't want to, you look at like JMU and ODU, and they've got these ridiculously high athletic fees. They need it to pay for their athletic departments because they don't have the TV contracts that UVA and Virginia Tech do. But it feels weird to be like, oh, you have a $4,000 student fee and all of that is going to pay for athletics in this whole thing. It just seems like a very odd way to fund it. But you have to work within the laws that you have within your state, and that's one of the challenges here. And part of the reason why they've fallen behind, I think the other part is maybe just sort of inattention. I think there was some exasperation on Babcock's part about I think he mentioned they had a plan for this back in 2020. Well, that's 5 years ago. That's a long time in college athletics. And you look at over the years how much some of these other programs have separated themselves revenue-wise. And it's a pretty big deal. Hockey clubs, another part of that fundraising, they had one of their best years ever last year. I think like 43, 45 million, something like that. And it still pales in comparison to someplace like Clemson. So, how do you get more money out of that? I mean, that's tough to do. You continually go back to your fans and go, we need more money for this stuff. And the fans are like, you keep going 6-6. What are we paying for here in this whole thing? So, how do you get more money? Sure would help to win. You win some football games. I think it's a lot easier to go to your fans and go, hey, do you want to pay a little bit more? Rather than going, hey, we went 6-6 again, or going back to the Military Bowl. You excited to pay more money for your seats? It all goes hand in hand. Winning brings more money, which brings more winning. It goes back and forth like that.
It seems to be, and I know you addressed a little bit last week, just getting to the team here, the coordinator hires and the impact that they've had is night and day from what was there. And at the time, it's not really hindsight. It was kind of questionable what Brent Pry did with his coordinator hires to start, but what he's recovered with this year, boy, I tell you what, Coach Montgomery especially has people excited. And, when you see Coach Cephas, he kind of looks like Mike McDaniel a little bit from the offense. He's kind of a cerebral guy. But, man, the impact I keep hearing they're having is huge. Are you hearing the same things?
Yeah, in theory. This is August. So everybody talks themselves into everything at this point. I mean, the closer you get to the season, I feel like the line just goes straight up on excitement. It's like, am I crazy for thinking 9, 10, 11 wins? Like everybody talks themselves into every possible outcome the closer you get to the season. So while I think these coordinator hires have improved Virginia Tech's standing just in terms of experience and what they have seen on the field and what they can adjust to when something like happens like that. That's just my theory right now. I still have not really seen it in action. And before you see it in action, it's tough to fully believe your thoughts on this. So, remember this time last year, everybody's going, man, Virginia Tech, dark horse college football playoff team. And then they go in and lose to Vanderbilt in the opener. And surprises like that happen in season openers. So
absolutely.
Let's get to the opener before I go. Definitely upgrades on the I think that's the case, but we'll see. We'll see once it plays out.
All right, AB, what you got coming up this weekend for folks at Tech Sideline? You guys are getting cranked up now with game previews and everything, right? Coming up.
Yeah, I got a mailbag coming today. I talked to Shane Beamer this week. Interesting conversation, just talking about him being a head coach, him being a Netflix star. I mean, he's all over this SEC series on there, and it feels natural for him to do something like that. I think he's comfortable in the spotlight like that. And it's interesting because, I covered him when he was an assistant coach at Virginia Tech. You go back to 2011 when I started on this beat, he was sort of new as an assistant coach at Virginia Tech. Interviewed 9 times for different head coaching positions. Didn't hit until this one. And then this one is not like, it's not a starter house in
Yeah,
South Carolina. Like, you don't like, oh, let me figure out how to do this head coaching thing. You're thrown into the deep end of the pool right away. And he seems to be handling it pretty well and has a pretty intriguing team this year with some talented players, that especially at quarterback. So it's just an interesting thing and an interesting dynamic, him going up against his old school when his dad's rooting interests, and that'll run sometime this weekend. I don't know. I've busy time. I'm still trying to do that. I'm putting a syllabus together for a class I'm teaching at Virginia Tech. So it's all coming to a head at the exact same moment.
And we're going to get your game. We're going to get your season prediction next week too. We're ready for
That's
that.
right. I'm waffling between like 2 picks. Neither of them are great. Believe me, neither of them are like great. Like, oh, they're going 10-2 or something.
Right.
No, I'm not going on that limb again. I've been burned by that before. But it's between 2 different records I got to still figure out here.
All right, AB. Thanks for your time, man. Thanks for spending time. You love seeing me when you first wake up in the morning.
That's right. I'll get used to it more and more. We're still just over a week into school, so I'm getting used to waking up this early again.
All right, man. Listen, enjoy week 0. I know you will.
All right. Oh, yeah,
All
definitely.
Right, take care. There you go. Great stuff there from Andy Bitter. Appreciate him. Brian Seigla. Coming up, Dwight Vick joining us right now as we're previewing. And, oh, my goodness, it's great to see that face. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the head football coach at Roanoke College. His name is Bryan Steinspring. Coach, how in the world are you, my friend? Good morning.
I'm great, Rick. I don't get that often. Great to see that face. I'm still stunned by that. I don't hear that, but everything's well. Sorry about the voice.
No,
I've been busy encouraging young people to do things well. So it's camp. It's the camp voice right now. So
I get it. No, I understand. But how excited are you now? I mean, it is here, man. Season 1 officially. You've worked so hard. Last year you kind of got your feet wet in terms of gameplay, but now, man, it is here. How you feeling?
I feel really good. I'm nervous of all the seasons that go in. I mean, there's a couple of those years we start off with Southern Cal, Alabama, a couple different times, and I feel the same way. I mean, it's just part of it's because it's still an unknowing, right? I mean, you got freshmen and sophomores. You've got a few transfers in here. You got a young team. You're still trying to blend them, Rick. I mean, we had a little team bonding the other night watching the movie, The Replacements. Don't forget The Replacements. Shane Falco's still a good movie.
Yeah. Yes, you know. It is.
It is. So, but you call on one guy and you say, "Hey, go over and hand some popcorn to Rick. Watch." They don't look at you and they'll say, "Can you?" They go, "No." I said, "Why?" "I'm not sure who Rick is." So it's so unique that way, right? There's always the freshman class that comes in and the older guys the juniors and seniors don't really know who that guy is, but it's about 50-50 right now. So it's really unique. It's I'm excited. Our players are doing exceptionally well. I'm looking forward to it. That's all I can say about that. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I bet. I know they're looking forward to it as well. How many, break it down for us, Coach. How many total kids do you have in camp right now getting ready for game 1 that'll suit up in game number 1?
97.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we had about 60 last year, dropped down to 57. We've incorporated another 40 this year. Actually, again, most of them, 90% of them are high school young men. We did bring in probably about 10 transfers this year, just trying to make us a little older. Teach the older guys teach the younger guys how to shave, those type of things. So it's amazing, it is, but we're excited about the numbers we have. The depth. We actually have depth now in some spots. Last year we were kind of hold your breath a little bit, but I feel that we really improved our depth a great deal.
And everybody's so excited. You've been everywhere. I've seen your football program being covered by everybody. You had talk about how that came to be that, Coach Gruden, John Gruden got involved, and you guys were showing everybody what your gear is going to look like. And it was awesome, man.
Well, Rick, you know this. Last year we recruited a group of young men that that we needed every one of them. We needed all 60 to get this thing up and going. We were on a really fast-paced schedule to get this thing up and running. In January, before our first game, it was 4 players, 2 coaches, and no footballs. You know what? And so 9 months later, 60 kids, 9-man coaching staff, 9,200 people in a stadium. It was absolutely amazing. But you just you kind of look back and you say, how did all that transpire? So kind of for us, and what I'm getting to, Rick, is when we recruited those kids, they're special young men. They're because they came here and there was no locker room. They came here, there was no uniforms to try on and do a photo shoot. I was in it. We didn't have our offices. We were kind of like nomads. We go from place to place to find an open space, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And in this day and age, if you're not on TikTok, if you're not on Twitter or X, if you're not on Facebook, if you're not on Instagram, if you're not on the Rick Watson show, you're not real. And so I am forever indebted to this group because they believed in the message. They believed in what we were trying to do. And so I'm really they inspire me because they're going to pay to go to school, and they're coming here because they love the game and love the school. That's a great entity. I really that I remember that we all stood for. That you went somewhere, you love the school, and you love playing a sport. So we have felt, as you know, that we have to get people knowing that we're here, that we are here. And Coach Gruden did a great job for us. I think he relished the idea that this is a startup program, that we are Division III. These kids just like playing ball and those type of things. So I think he connected really well with what we were trying to do, and we couldn't be more thankful for what he did for us.
Joining us on the program, Bryan Stinespring, of course, the head football coach at Roanoke College. And it's just so awesome that Coach Steinpring, of course, chosen to lead this program back. People forget, I mean, this isn't a program that's existing for the first time, but it's been, 8 decades, I think, since football was at Roanoke, right? And it's now been revived.
It has been 8 decades. It's been since 1942 that they played football here. It's been a little while since they've had it. I don't know many people that was on that team. Anyway, so right. We honor that team much as we did with Coach Bieber in the jersey 25. Our number's 42. The school was actually founded in 1842. The last time we played football was 1942. So we feel like that jersey number is significant in a lot of ways. So even last year, we as a staff chose who's going to represent the 42. Our special teams is called the 42. That's how we refer to them. So it's a significant number for us, and it's an honor for one of our student athletes to get chosen to wear that number.
You mentioned, Coach, I mean, you've started seasons against top 5 nationally ranked teams as a coordinator at Virginia Tech, and that excitement. But have you thought about, I'm sure you have, how you're going to feel before you walk out before that first game on September the 6th?
Rick, it's a great question. Listen, the first game we had last year, it's on a Sunday, 2 o'clock. The NFL season started, right?
Right.
And, I didn't know it was going to be me or the coaches' families, the players' families, and the athletic director, and the president, and my daughters. That's about all. I didn't. You didn't know.
Sure.
I mean, I did not know. Part of me taking this job is I know Salem, Virginia, and I know the Roanoke Valley, and I know that they love the game of football. They support all that is Roanoke Valley, all that is Salem, and I counted on it. Well, I kind of had a number in my mind, and I said, if we could get this many people here, this is going to be good. I looked up in the stands on the way into the locker room. I said, there may be about 4,000 people out here. And listen, Rick, I kept my phone in my pocket. I didn't know if you know, with everything going on, electricity went out. There's no water. You just who's got the footballs or the footballs here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who brought the footballs over to the stadium?
Right.
Water. So all this is going dancing in my head. So my phone was ringing, and I looked at it as my best friend who played at the University of Richmond. We've been best friends our whole lives. He's at the game. And so I looked down, he's texting me. He says, man, there's going to be a lot of people here, Coach. I texted back. I said, it looks like a good crowd in here. He goes, nah. He said, there has to be 4,000 people still out here in this crowd. I came out, and I mean this. And you know this, Rick. I walked into every Death Valley known to man in this country.
Yes.
Norman, Oklahoma, College Station, Atlanta, Georgia. It doesn't matter. Tallahassee, you just go. Lincoln, Nebraska, Columbus, Ohio, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Go to. I walked out of our locker room on a Sunday at 1:56. Looked up in the stands, looked around, and just went, wow. It hit. I mean, because you just didn't know. To see it all unfold itself in that moment was an emotional time for me. And like I said, I walked out in front of 90,000 people. Ann Arbor, 105,000 people.
Right.
It didn't matter. It's just what took place that mattered the most.
Well, I get that. Yeah.
And that hit home. And and the people here have been fantastic. The support that we have within our school, the support that we have within this community, and people like you that have really, really, really enabled us to get us out there. That we're here, we're thriving, and that's important. When I got hired, Rick, in my press conference, I told the media, I appreciate you guys showing up. But of all the people you're covering right now, whatever it is, whatever game you're covering, nobody needs you more than we do.
Yeah.
And I think you guys, and I appreciate you so much. I value you for a long, long, long time. We won't tell everybody how long, Rick.
Let's not go back that far.
But what you guys do have helped create a good footprint for us right now, and I appreciate all the coverage.
Well, you deserve it, Coach. And I'm telling you, here in the New River Valley, not even part of Roanoke or Salem, I hear it from everybody. Go play. People are excited about Roanoke football, and so it's kind of nice that people are watching and seeing where you're showing up. And it's our community it's a lot bigger of a surface area than people think. Sometimes you think if it's Roanoke and Salem, it doesn't involve the NRV, but that's not the case. Everybody supports everybody, and I think that's part of it. And I think everybody's looking at this because it is a startup and because of who you are as a person and as a coach, and because everybody here knows you from your days here in Blacksburg. I mean, it all kind of goes hand in hand to make it easy for people to follow what's going on with you guys.
Well, it is a connection, and I hear a lot of people. It's amazing. You think it's Blacksburg, it's Roanoke, but we have people at Roanoke College that live in Blacksburg, and vice versa, right?
Right.
So there's a connection here. Anytime I speak, they're like, "Can we get our games opposite of Virginia Tech? Can we get our games?" I say, "Okay, I know. I hate that I got to force y'all to make a decision here, right?" But hey, look, I didn't have to. I have a lot of maroon in my closet. Okay?
This is true.
I mean, so I could just, whether it's Roanoke College, if it did have actually Roanoke College or Virginia Tech on it, I'm good. I can still put a lot of maroon out there. So it is a great deal. In fact, Filmation will be a practice today for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bud's coming down here I think next week to kind of watch us practice. So there's that Virginia Tech connection. Obviously, Coach Bieber was at the press conference when I was named the football coach. So I go up to Virginia Tech and watch the practice. They've been really good at helping us. Things that I've forgotten or things that I didn't have enough of.
Right.
I think they've been really good. It's good for everybody. It's good for everybody. Keeps the game alive. It keeps an energy level within the communities alive. So it's good for everyone. So I told her players that Coach Hell Mason was going to be back today, and they like him. He comes out there and he's just a pistol. It hasn't changed, and so I enjoy him coming down. Had a lot of our ex-players come by and talk to our team or come to practice. Jake Grove, Aaron Rouse, Daryl Tapp, Logan
awesome.
Thomas. So they share great messages with our kids too. So it's been really good that the Virginia Tech connection in Blacksburg still home to me.
Yeah,
half my life has been there, and so it's still home.
That support has to mean so much for you. Just you mentioned the guys that you mentored as young men coming down to willingly support you like that. That has to give you, and that's what this is all about, isn't it, Coach? That's why you stayed in it. That's why you took on this project, right? I mean, that's what it's all about, those relationships, every bit of it.
I set out a year. My mother had gotten sick, and the jobs that I was offered, it really just wasn't enough to pull me out. I kind of reset myself, and because of that, I was able to be on the feasibility about this job. And I've told people many a time that this may be the most challenging job I've ever had, but in a lot of regards, it's the most rewarding. It has been from that standpoint that where you started, you get a chance to kind of take what you've learned and hiring a staff, putting a team together, and setting the culture and how you want this thing to be perceived. It's been a tremendous amount of fun. We're not there. I'm glad you referred to it. People say, well, you go into your second year. No, we're not. We're one year. We're year one extended is all we are.
Right. Year 1A. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's 1A. That's exactly right. It's like playing golf down at the Virginia in Abbott, and you get a 1A, 2A, and a 3A, then you got to go, right? So,
That's right.
So but our players understand that this all counts now. This all counts, and they're excited. I just don't know if they don't know any better. What's in front of them? We try to let them know that it's last year was the way they played and the things that they did was fantastic. But this is a completely unique and different challenge coming up. Well, we're going to be the least experienced team in college football. And this will be the last time anybody ever hears me say that. I told that team, I told that to the team on their arrival over 10 days ago. We're not going to talk about it anymore. Everybody's got an issue. Everybody playing college sports, there's an issue somewhere. And we'll play around ours. We'll play to our strengths. We'll understand if there's a weakness. How do we compensate for that? But that's just a part of the game. That's just part of the game. Nobody cares about your why. So we're gonna play. We're gonna play well. We're gonna the key for us this year is we improve from week 1 to week 2, 2 to 3, and as we continue to move forward with this program.
Coach, before we let you go, I had a question in the chat room. What do you think the strength is of your football team? What do you like best? I mean, you got a lot of pieces I know you like, and Coach Giancola and Coach Farrick have done a great job with their side of the football. But what do you like coming into this? What stands out to you?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you mentioning Coach Giancola and Coach Farrick. They were my first 2 hires. It was just us 3 for a long time. I think they're brilliant. I think they're exactly what I was looking for to take charge of each side of the ball. And then Mike is the associate head coach. He does a lot. He wears a lot of hats for me right now and does a terrific job. And what I really like about this team in general is just their enthusiasm. I mean, they're excited. I'm knocking on wood because we get ready to go out here in about 45 minutes, and they'll go completely opposite. But we practiced 8 times. There's not one time I walked off the field stomping, kicking, throwing my hat. I mean, threatening to come out and do it again this afternoon. Things that not that it's been great practices, but we haven't had that one you kind of say, why are we out here? What are we doing? Their energy level's been really good. That part of it. I like our receiving core. When I look positionally, I really like our receiving core. I think I like the talent pool there, and I like that there's several guys with that talent. It went from a position of concern. Guys have grown up, guys have improved, guys have gotten healthier. We had Cole Chiswick, who I think is a terrific receiver. He got hurt. We had him for a brilliant game and a half, and now he's back. And I think we really added some guys to that room, and I really like that room a great deal. We went out and added. The hardest thing, Rick, is you know this. You got 0 offensive linemen, 0.
Right.
0. And to try to get not only enough guys in 1 year to start, but to provide adequate depth, and then to be able to allow you to get through your practices, that was hard. I think we've been able to add more depth to that position. We were able to get a couple transfers in that make us a little older at that position. So that helped. I hope that pays tremendous dividends for us. But if you just called out what I like the most is I really like that our receivers and our defensive line. I think the defensive line we added some. We have competition at that spot right now.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. I like that. Well, Coach, listen, man, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're getting ready to hit the practice field, and we're very excited for you, man. And we'll be pulling for you. And I'd like to get you on whenever it worked out as the season goes, kind of get a progress report and see how things are going with you guys.
Well, Rick, I've known you for a long time. I love what you do. I love your why to why you do it. It's the story that you like. It's not about you. It's the story. And you've been that way from the beginning. And I value that. I appreciate that. I appreciate all that you do for all sports in the New River Valley and in this state. And I appreciate you a great deal for allowing me to be on with you today. Great to see you, my friend.
I appreciate you, Coach. Very kind words, man. It means a heck of a lot, man. Thank you so much. And right back at you for everything that you stand for as a man and as a person. And we're going to have a gentleman on coming up here in just a little bit, Dwight Vick, who always talks about the Big D.
Let's go.
The Big D. He's next.
All
right, Coach. Have a great practice, man. We'll talk soon. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Come see me when you can.
Oh, I will. I'll get down there. Trust me.
All right.
I will.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, man. There you go. That's Brian Steinspring joining us on the program. How good was that, huh? How good was that? Very kind words from him. I don't deserve those kind words. Very kind words from him. Yeah, that was good. That was good. How do you not pull for that guy, right? I mean, it's just you listen to that. You think about everything that he had to implement, right? Wow. I mean, you know that. I think going into it, you kind of know that. But, man, you're literally just building it brick by brick, piece by piece. Man, that's hard. It's hard to do. Hard to do. Hey, don't forget our BDST fan question of the week. Ryan Pry, attorney, 701 West Main Street in Radford. It's cool. We're getting a lot of great answers. Send it to the text line, and it's simple. There's no right or wrong. All you're doing is telling me your favorite football team. Growing up, college, pro, it doesn't matter, what it might be. And you can hit us up on the text line for that, which is 391-0788. So let us know. I'm going to read some of those tomorrow. We have several that have come through. But I'd like to hear your story, why you pull for the teams that you pull for, and I'll do the same. I will let you know. Some interesting stories. A lot of it's uniform related. right? I'm getting a lot of that. I'm getting a lot of uniforms is what kind of brought certain teams to, certain people's mindset. That was great. Thanks so much to Coach Steinspring. Dwight Vick will join us at 8 o'clock here today, and we'll move on from there. Hit us up in the chat room. McClellan Chiropractic Clinic, Mark Hundley and the crew. It's great. Hokey Bob, I wish Steiny could show a little more enthusiasm. Yeah, right. He wasn't fired up enough, was he? Did you notice the way his voice improved? He had that coach's voice, right? You're getting toward the end of camp, getting ready for week one, but his voice got better and better. So maybe we helped a little bit, just a little bit, with all that. That was fun. I just hope the program progresses the way they have envisioned. I'm sure, you don't really, I know people are going to look at wins and losses and, eventually that's going to become the mark. But this first full year is about implementation, consistency. I think he's got a good staff. It's cool. It's cool. It's a huge undertaking, but I think Roanoke College is very fortunate to find someone like Brian Steinspring. He's the perfect guy. Don't you think? Especially after you hear that. And the Gruden thing was cool. They got some national attention there. They came and revealed their unis, and that got them a lot of national publicity, which was really nice. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on that program. The commitment that Roanoke College has had to football, very evident. And it's pretty special. And Coach got a little emotional when you start talking about the young men that he coached at Virginia Tech in the glory days of that program, coming back willingly to talk to his team. I mean, that's a legacy. And maybe Coach Steinspring doesn't know it now, but that's a legacy he's created in those young men's lives forever. And Dwight Vick, to this day, talks about the impact that Brian Steinspring had. So that's what it's all about. And it's going to be all about that, for that group of kids. So pull for the Maroons. They get underway on September 6th, and I think the crowds are going to be pretty large. It's going to be in a nice facility down there in Salem. It's going to be nice. It's going to be really nice. And it's cool. It's cool. We now have football at all levels now here in the New River and Roanoke Valleys. High school foundation games all over the place tomorrow. Getting you ready for the season. Next week, regular season gets underway. Not week 0, but week 1 next week for the high schools all over. Sorry, I was parched. Thanks again, Wayne. Here's my new koozie, my new Bigfoot koozie. Yeah, very, very happy with that. So that way, if the big guy ever wanders around my backyard, I can just say, "Hey, would you like a nice beverage?" And I can show him the koozie, and he'll probably come and, rip me to shreds and take it. I mean, after all, he's about 8.5 feet tall. Weighs about, 1,000 pounds. Probably wouldn't be too hard just to koozie. Then I'm done. But I don't know. I didn't think I'd feel this way about football. But yet there it is. And I think maybe a lot of people, will you tell me on the McClellan Chiropractic chat room, I didn't think that I would feel this excited about the start of college football with everything that's happened. Does that make sense? With the NIL, with all the power play of the SEC and the Big Ten, how they're trying to even get more schools from their leagues in the conference. I'm not sure I thought I would feel as excited as I am for the season. And I think it just goes to show you, though, that we don't really have other sports that are controlling the emotions of the psyche of sports fans in this country like football. I think the separation has gotten so large that even with everything that has happened and everything that continues to happen, that football still gets right into our mindset, and it becomes the same type of enthusiasm that or at least very similar type of enthusiasm that we've always had. So I don't know. I didn't think I'd feel this way. I'm glad I do. Because I didn't want to lose that. I get excited about it like you do, and there's something about sitting around the first games and yeah, Rodney, NIL, now it's legal. Yeah, you're right. It's been going on. Yeah. And maybe that's what it is, just the revelation of it, right? There's something to that. I agree with that 100%. You know it. Here we go again. Blue chips. We're now in blue chips mode to where it's all out there. But I'm glad I didn't lose it. I was worried. I would sit around and just be all, I'm not watching this. What's the point? But I don't feel that way. I'm excited. I'm glad. I mean, NFL is the biggest sport in this country. It's a runaway locomotive. It's not going to stop. But it's not the same from college football. It's not the same. There's a lot of things that go on at that level that I mean, if you're in a town, if you're in a city that houses an NFL team, then that's the only game in town. We don't have that here. I mean, Virginia Tech football was the professional football team of the New River Valley and Roanoke Valley and surrounding areas. Right? I mean, until Carolina got a team, we had Washington, and that was it. Cincinnati was the next closest team. Go down to Atlanta. If it wasn't, Baltimore, the Ravens came in when they moved. So I think for me, I'm excited that I still feel that little push in my gullet for the start of the season. And it's going to be cool no matter how many times you see it. First time you see it, when you see Sandman the night of the Vanderbilt game, if they do it the right way on the broadcast, you get excited. You hear the sound, especially after Metallica played there. It's still cool, man. It's still really cool. So I'm glad for the season. I'm glad it's here. I hope it's a good year, regardless of how the rosters are made up, regardless of what kind of money's being paid. I know it's something you have to swallow hard to work through. I know I do still to this day, but it is what it is. One of the best phrases ever invented. It is what it is. And then it's up to an individual to take out of it what they deem satisfactory. And so for me, the enthusiasm of it, I mean, I'm not sure what I'm more excited about. Start of college. Like, for instance, I'm so excited for Auburn High School here next Friday. I haven't had football for a couple of years. It's been a struggle, man. But now they've got enough kids involved. They've got good coaches. That first night up here, I'm going to walk up there, be excited, be part of it, hearing the sights and the sounds. It's my new place here, and I'm so glad that football is back. Such a successful athletic program, really, in everything else they do. So it's good that they're playing football game. I'm just excited about that. And I'm probably, of the three entities, I'm probably least excited about the NFL season starting. Yeah, I hadn't really gotten into the preseason games. They're so watered down. The crowds are still big, though. Bill talked about it yesterday. I mean, those preseason games are packed to the rafters. I mean, the NFL is – I don't know, we weren't alive back then, but, when baseball was hitting into the turn of the 20th century and helping get the country through the Depression, and, baseball was the only entity that mattered in sports, really, what it felt like. The NFL seems like it's surpassed that tenfold. At least that's what it feels like to me. Because with that success, you get a bunch of laziness, a bunch of irresponsibility. That's why Roger Goodell is such a horrible commissioner. They abuse their power. They don't do enough to make sure the game's officiated the right way. They don't do enough to make the rules make more sense to fans. Yeah, Jason, let's give a shout out to Sam Wright, first-year head football coach at Giles High School. Spartan Stadium, man. So many games I went up there calling games for the Bobcats. So many nights that we left with an L. Remember Cooney Ratcliffe? Remember him? Wow. Cooney Ratcliffe was number 36, right? Is that right? Giles, folks? And you talk about adding a dimension to the single wing, man. You talk about a guy who just flat out could just motor. Cooney Ratcliffe was one hell of a high school football player. Just one of the names I remember trying to harness up there at Giles. They've had some really, really good talent. And that's a place of so much lore. Narrows and Giles, that Pearisburg, man, I tell you what, the old New River District. I was hearing stories last night from, folks up there at the Roanoke Sports Club. Jim McAllister was talking about that. He's at George Wythe, and he brought a team down there. Jim, I don't want to age you, but I think you told me it's 72, 73. A couple of the George Wythe kids jumped up and down on the Radford Bobcats logo, came down to Bobcats Stadium. Coach Lindenberg didn't like it. Radford Bobcat fans didn't like it. He's jumping up and down, and those two kids got, the crowd went nuts, and they ended up not playing. Coach got mad. Wytheville coach got mad. Jim McAllister was telling that story. And then he said he ran into somebody who was running a business that was on that Bobcats team. And Jim, if I'm paraphrasing incorrectly, if you're still around in the chat room, but Jim said he started talking about when he got, played football for George Wythe. He said the guy who played for Radford looked at him and said, "You stomped on our logo." I mean, that's fun. But those of you who are around, if you don't remember, there's been a lot of great books, and maybe there's something out there. I don't know. Mason Clark's written a great book about Pulaski County football. Maybe his next project should be tackling the New River District, the old New River District. Dan Callahan would tell stories, and great players, phenomenal players that went on to mega college careers, some of the best coaches in the history of the state, not just this region. And you talk about knockdown, drag out, rivalry, hatred, the way it's supposed to be. Coach Lowe narrows the longest tenure of head coaches in the year at 23 years. That's right, 3 rings. Leon King, I told the story about being there when Leon King was the best player on the field in the 1980 title game. Was that Parkview Sterling? Is that right? Alan Pinkett, who went on to Notre Dame. Tyrone Meadows, Brian Raphael Milton. Oh, my goodness. Now, Raphael was number 5, wasn't he? Man, so many good players in Pearisburg. I think Raphael was number 5. Great stuff. Dublin and Pulaski played at Calfee Park. You talk about hatred now. Man, all those rivalries. Okay, here's number 5. Yeah, I thought so. Milton Twins. So glad Coach Ragsdale is still with us and so active in high school football, just being around as an ambassador. See if we can, you know what? I need to see if I can get Coach Rags on. Maybe folks can send the word out. I'd love to have him on. You know, he just lost his dear friend, Norman Lindenberg, and I'd like to talk about those days with these coaches while you still can. I want to relive and rekindle the hey, here we go. Here's the Balboa. They're making his Balboa curry. I'd like to get up close and personal people talk. I get John Hale on here. Get Johnny on here to talk about New River District, the heyday of high school football here in the New River Valley. Now, I got to reach out to Rags. Anybody knows how I can get a hold of Coach Ragsdale, let me know. Tell him that Rick's looking for him. I'd like to talk to him. Get him on the new program here. It'd be a lot of fun. But high school football, man, you just love it. I'm going to be excited. I know there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm here, folks around Reiner on next Friday. I'm going to get a couple hot dogs, and I'm just going to sit up there and enjoy the game. Oh, that's cool, Rodney. Says Coach Ragsdale let him in the locker room after each home game. That's big. That's big that he's just opening his locker room to reporter. It shows you the kind of the trust and respect you have, because coaches don't do that very often. It doesn't happen a lot. Coach Hicks would always open it up for Dan Callahan. Man, I tell you, I think about Dan often and I miss him. But boy, this time of year especially, you really miss Dan Callahan. I mean, you really do. But great people leading young men throughout stages of their lives. And we're very fortunate to have that legacy of it. We're very fortunate. And I think we have really good coaches today that either they've been, they're veteran coaches or they're brand new coaches that are continuing that tradition. We have young coaches that people are very high on. And I think there's enough knowledge and respect there of the past to implement modern everything that's going on. So I think we have a good mix of it here where we live. We're very fortunate. I'm very glad that, high school football and high school sports is so big here. In Northern Virginia and all those places, it's big, but it's not the same. It doesn't evoke, I don't think, the same type of the inner city stuff doesn't have the same vibe as what it means down here to us in these communities. And I think that's a big advantage for us because, they've got pro teams, they've got major schools all over the place. It's just a different thing. But here, it means something a little bit more. It does. A lot more. And I think that's the way that it should be. Friday Night Lights is most Fridays, if not all Fridays, in around the communities here. Yeah, Three Rings football. Yeah, I think the Mount Rushmore, there's no way to pick just 4. You're right. We're going to have to build our own, have our own construction of the high school football legacy. I mean, I don't know how you'd even go about separating it. I mean, there's none that you could leave out. You have 2 Ragsdales on there, Harry and Steve. Yeah, Winford Beal, Coach Lindenberg, Joel Hicks, Dave Christ. Just missed him last night. He was supposed to be at the Blacksburg Sports Club, but he was actually at a football game. He was at a middle school or a JV game. Not surprised. Phil Robbins. Powell Valley. So many, just so many. And it kept leading to those great rivalries that were there. Dwight Vick scheduled to join us here in just a little bit. Finish up our guest list for the day. Great guest, man. Brian Seigla was great. Andy Bitter and Brian Steinspring. Thanks to Family Fencing, by the way. Family Fencing Studios here in Reiner. Give them a call, 540-200-8294. They have a no-dig installation system. They won't leave a mess. They're locally owned. There's finance options. You can get a free quote. Call that number, familyfencingnrv.com. Great people. Thanks to Mark Hunley, all the folks at McClellan Chiropractic for sponsoring the chat line. Appreciate them mightily. If you're out of sorts, you got a crick in your back or wherever it might be, go see them. They will take care of you. And we are proud to say that this program here on YouTube sponsored and presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. And thanks to Charles Lee and all the folks at Little River Heating and Air. We have another substantial sponsorship announcement coming up on Monday. Speaking of substantial, joining us on the program now, to lead off hour 3, is the creator of Vicktory Life, former Hokie all-conference performer, in my mind, the authority on Tech football, Dwight Vick. DV, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing, man? I'm great.
Doing great. Always better to see you. Coach Steinspring sends his regards. He's excited to know you were coming on after him today. He was great.
Oh yeah, that's my guy. I saw the I tweet and I was smiling ear to ear. That's my guy. Love that man. As a man, as a coach, as a father. Just an outstanding human being. I feel like he's one of those guys that wherever he goes, the sun is shining, the energy is good, and he's going to have Roanoke headed in the right direction. That guy's really building the program. He's the kind of guy that I feel like Virginia Tech really benefited from during his time there. I mean, over 20-plus years he was there. You talk about recruiting and energy. I just feel like Steinspring is a class act and one of those guys that really knows how to build a program.
Yeah, and he was talking about – he got a little emotional talking about the former players that have come and talked to his team and wanted to be there. You know, he said Aaron Rouse gave a very emotional speech to his team, and that's a legacy. I don't think Coach Steinspring recognizes it, but you've talked about it too, Dwight. I mean, he's got a legacy with the impact he's had on the lives of the guys who came through Virginia Tech's program, and it'll be the same thing with the players that he coaches down at Roanoke.
Yeah, I'm going to get out there this fall. I don't know if I'm going to speak to the team, but I'm definitely going to get out there. He'll probably have me do it if I do, but that's not anything to me because I would love to help and support him. I got a kid I mentor that's going to be there. He's actually moving in this weekend on the lacrosse team. And I was just telling him about his name is Christian. I was telling him about how Steinspring is just a phenomenal man. I mean, you talk about, you know, we're talking all things Tech. You talk about the guys he brought in and recruited from, you know, guys like Daryl Tapp and Aaron Rouse and Cam Chancellor. And I mean, his recruiting was elite. And that's one of those things now, as recruiting has become so big with NIL and the transfer portal. That's why I'm confident he's going to have Roanoke as a winner. And, you know, he's part of that Beamer coaching tree that we don't talk enough about. And when you hear coaching tree, you always think, well, these guys were assistants. But I consider everybody, including former players. You talk about, excuse me, Steinspring, J.C. Price, Chris Malone, who was along J.C. Price at JMU when they upset Virginia Tech. And there's others. Anthony Midget is a Virginia Tech guy coaching in the NFL. Lauren Johnson at Highland Springs, who is a 5-time state champion and putting over 15, 10, 20 guys in college pretty much every year. There are a lot of guys out there. Sam Rogers is coaching down in the Richmond area.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, the coaching tree and the guys that have come from Virginia Tech under that Beamer tree is just outstanding. And they all continue. You mentioned legacy, pretty much what Vicktory Life is about, leave a legacy. they're definitely leaving a legacy. I think Steinspring's impact is going to be one of those impacts where I don't know if you'll see a 30 for 30 documentary on it, but at the same time, the next 20 years, I just think it's going to be hundreds of kids that will talk about him. Bucky Hodges is another kid that he recruited. I mean, again, he really is a reason why people are like, we got to get back to the Ty Ward area. It's because of Steinspring. He locked that area down, man. Yeah, he did that.
He did. He was the impetus behind the whole thing. Well, and you mentioned legacy, and you're doing that. I mean, your impact. I mean, I know you probably realize it because you directly talk to people. You've dedicated your life to helping people, which is the greatest cause any human can have, and you are to be commended. So you understand what it looks like, right? And so I don't know. It just makes so much sense, given where you came from and what you're doing, and then what Coach Steinspring, that you guys are still very close, after all this time.
Yeah, he's the guy that texted me on my birthday, Father's Day. I remember, he called me to check on some other guys that played with me. We talked. He's just always concerned. You think about his responsibilities, because before he was at Roanoke, he was at Delaware. He's been at ODU. It's funny, man. People, the cynics and a few of the critics at Virginia Tech that throw shots at him as far as an offensive coordinator. His offenses weren't top 30, top 40, but he was in a position where he knew what Virginia Tech's identity was, and we won games with him as the OC. This is a guy that started off as working as like a grad assistant at Virginia Tech, then became the tight ends coach. Then he became the O-line coach when J.V. Grimes left to go to Arkansas. And then he became the offensive coordinator. And during that time, think about how he worked his way up the ladder and did well at each step. And he also had jobs offerings in the NFL. So people don't realize that, because a lot of really good coaches don't go like kids do when they say, I'm blessed to receive an offer, I'm grateful to receive an offer. So we know, this guy, he just got another offer. Coaches don't always do that. So you're talking about a class act guy that turned down some jobs to stay at Tech. And he's happy where he's at Roanoke. But he did, I'll put it out there, he was interested when Pry got the job to come to Virginia Tech. But, because he was one of the guys that brought Pry in. So, but at the same time, God has a plan, and Steinspring is right where he's at, and Pry's where he's at. And we never know what the future holds, but I'm rooting for him hard at Roanoke. That's a program here in another week or so I'll be following faithfully. Yeah. And I really want them to do well. I want a lot of these coaches to do well. I want Pry to do well. I mean, I don't really root, there's a contingency of fans that right now, with all the murkiness around Tech, there's a group of people that really want to see Tech do bad so we can get a new coach in. And I just feel like that's just asinine. I think that's crazy to me. I want the kids to do well. I want the coaches to do well.
Dwight Vick joining us on the program. He's the founder and owner of Vicktory Life. He also is an all-conference performer for Virginia Tech. And along those lines, last night, Blacksburg Sports Club, Bill Roth was speaking, and he said that Kyron Drones has done a complete 180. And I wanted to ask you about this. I started thinking, I got to ask Dwight, because he was there, and you talked about your journey doing a 180 as a player, as a young player, and then when you really hit your groove anchoring the O-line. But, Kyron Drones said, I was arrogant. I got down there. I was training with Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders. Everybody was saying, we're going to win this. I'm going to be a dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate. And then we get there down in Nashville. We're getting punched in the mouth, and we're all going, it's destroyed. What happened? And we never recovered. Then he got hurt. He said, I learned a lot about myself, and he apparently looks great. He's got a better mental attitude. Can you talk about how that could really, it can happen that quickly, that all of a sudden, just because of your mindset and the way you look at things, you become the player you were supposed to be?
Rick, I saw it. I tweeted last night, Boundary Corner podcast. I know you have Brian on here.
Brian, he talked about you being on there. Yeah,
I was on there a week ago, but I commented. I watched them last night. They had another preview show, and I commented when they got to the segment on the offense. And I typed in literally on my phone, I said, the reason why the offense last year failed is because there were too many high expectations placed on the offense, and they did not have an identity. The adjustments weren't made offensively. And I remember him training with Cam Ward, his cousin, in Shadora, and I remember the hype. And I came on your show and I said, if he comes in healthy and he plays well, he's a dark horse to be a Heisman candidate. I don't regret saying that. I stand on business when I said that last year because he was that good. But I think you can see him throughout the season pressing, trying to become an NFL draft pick and trying to force the ball and trying to make the dynamic play. What made him great the year before is he came in, he did his job, and he made the right play. He threw the ball well, and he played with that moxie and toughness, running people over, playing like a linebacker at quarterback. Last year, he looked tentative, and that was not just on him. The O-line was inconsistent. They did a poor job picking up blitz pickup. The receivers were inconsistent, with the exception of Lane, who was doing a great job at Washington. You know, Ollie Jennings was not healthy. Daquan, the year before, Daquan Felton had a phenomenal year. Last year, again, he was up and down. The offense was spotty, and there were too many mouths to feed. Many times the offense forgot about Tootin. Tootin should have been the feature of that offense because a running game is the quarterback's best friend. And I felt like everything you just said that you spoke on about what he admitted and disclosed is accurate. I saw it. The money, the attention, the hype around the offense last year was insane. And I tell people all the time, this is why I don't like to do comparisons while kids are in college. They were like, this is the best receiving core we've had since. I said, stop it. I stopped it because if you look at the receiving core that we've had in the last 27 plus years, you look at that group that featured Antonio Freeman, Brian Steele, Cornelius White, and Jermaine Holmes, or Jared Boykin and Danny Cole and company, or one of the best, another group that you can put up there, Justin Harper, David Clowney, Josh Morgan, and Eddie Royal. Okay, what are we doing here? Last year's receiving group could have done that. We were already giving them crowns before they were in position to be crowned. And all that hype, I kept saying on your show, you have to walk in humility. You have to be locked in because everyone's watching film. Just because you have 21 out of 22 stars returning last year, you have to work harder because the expectations are bigger. Nobody expected anything the year before, and you came on late when Pry and Tyler Bowen made Drones the starter. Because at first Pry was saying, well, you know, we don't know yet. And then he finally, and I said, once Pry gives him the keys to the car, the offense will take off. Where 2 years ago, the offense took off. Some of those opponents, you know, helped because they weren't great. But you ended the season a solid bowl win, 7 wins from 3 is heading in the right direction. Well, last year it was, conference championship or bust, and it was a bust. And I speak for many. I know I can do this. I speak for a lot of fans and media types that will tell you last year wasn't so much disgraceful, but it was embarrassing. I know there was a lot of one-score losses where Tech led at the half or were right there with a chance to win it. I know the effort was there at times, but I'm talking about from coaches on down, it was too spotty. And Drones, like it or not, is the face of the program because he's a quarterback. Virginia Tech has a history of having great quarterbacks. I think Drones is poised for a great year this year. I think he'll kill it because I think when you have humility and you understand what you didn't do right, you see those comebacks the following year where guys really lock in and do well. But I also think he has to be helped by his offensive coordinator, the running game, and also O-line play. It's one of those weird things, Rick, you and I've covered this sport where they'll say, hey, this guy is 21-6 as a starter, or he has this many comeback wins. I'm a big Tom Brady guy. I think he's the GOAT unequivocally. I don't even debate people on that. But Tom Brady also had great teammates, and he had a great defense. And I think that's what's going to help Virginia Tech this year, specifically Drones.
The coordinators are getting a lot of positive reviews, and it's not hindsight. We were wondering why the approach was made to bring 2 guys in who had no experience, and we found out that's exactly how it's going to look, right, with the way it fell apart on each side of the ball. But tell you what, when you think about when I keep hearing about Coach Montgomery, And you know how good his offenses were wherever he was, right? Tulsa, and you go back to Baylor, especially with RG3. And you've talked about this last week. Tech fans should get really excited. We're going to see some things that's not been there. And you got Kyron there. I mean, they're an unknown, but he's a known quantity. And I think especially on that side of the football, man, it's going to be fun early on to watch what this offense could be.
I think that's their advantage going to the South Carolina game. Shane and his staff can watch Tate, Torian Gray, and those guys all they want, but you don't know what that's going to look like for Virginia Tech. And I also think, you talk about, like, if you do parlays or if you know fantasy football or you watch a game, I feel like Virginia Tech is due. There were flashes when Steinspring was there, when Bustle was there as the OC, the offense with Maurice Shiseijo and Druckenmiller were efficient and they were effective and they were good, but they were methodical. Then you get a guy like Michael Vick, you put him anywhere. You can put him with the Afghanistan Knights, right? A fictional team, and they're going to average 40 points a game, right? Because he's that dynamic. Then you get a guy like Tyrod Taylor, who was there with Steinspring, and you had him and the tight ends and Marcus Vick. The offenses were good, and they were at times explosive. But you keep hearing me use the term at times, right? The phrase at times. I think in today's college football game, you have to have an offense that is dynamic, explosive, not methodical, but can really set the tone and tempo. I've always felt if Virginia Tech ever, this goes back to when I played, if Virginia Tech ever got a dynamic offense, the closest thing you saw was when Mike Vick was there, and those 2 years when he went 21-1 as a starter, and you went to the bathroom and him and Andre Davis already had 2 touchdowns. And then you had Lee Suggs and Andre Kendrick and those guys explosive. And then Sharon Stith and those guys. And then you had Tyrod, same deal. You had him, Ryan Williams, David Wilson, explosive offense where a really good stout defense along with explosive offense, you're destined to win 10 or more games. I felt like last year and the year before, other than a game or two, Miami, Boston College last year, the offense would just be stuck in mud. I mean, when they beat Marshall last year, a team that they were better than, they won by 2 scores, but it was sloppy. It was inconsistent. It was choppy. And that's what they need, where something that drives me crazy personally is when it's 3rd and 1 and we look to the sideline, we call timeout, and we come back in the same formation and run the play and the defense stops it and they got a punt. It's like, or when Virginia Tech would get up by 10 points last year and the year before, and they could put the game away, and then they go 4 straight passes. And I'm like, Putin just had a 40-yard run the ball, play action. Or last year, which infuriated me against Miami, they're driving. They got a turnover. They got momentum. They're about to blow Miami out. And 2 things happened on 2 different drives. There was a fake field goal that everybody saw coming. And then there was also the thing when they got in the red zone, they did a halfback toss pass. And it was like, why are you don't even need to do that. Where did that come from? So that's what I mean about the OC having a rhythm. I think Tech fans should be excited. I think the pulse I get, though, is people are not even cautious. People aren't cautiously optimistic. They're traumatized. They're afraid to be excited because they've been let down so much. That's why they're not going to be overly excited.
No, you're right.
Because they've been let down. They've been lied to. There have been explanations not given. They don't feel like it's going to happen. They wanted to, but they're like, nope, you won't get me this time. I'm not going to be Charlie Brown. I'm not going to be Charlie Brown. They don't want to. So I think everybody is kind of like, let's see what happens against South Carolina, because if you can even give us a resemblance of a competent and potent offense, now we can talk. Now we can get a little bit energetic around this offense.
And on the other side, Sam Cephas looks like Mike McDaniel a little bit from the Dolphins. You know, he doesn't look like that guy, but from what, Bill was talking about last night, I mean, he's got everybody's attention. He's got a quiet demeanor about him, but guys are responding to him. And I think and you said it, last week, and it continues to build momentum. Jarrett Ferguson's impact on this program is Mike Gentry times two. He's coming in. He's the next Mike Gentry mindset, but he's got modern technology. He's fusing together. It's not like he's just stuck in the past, but I'm just saying he's staying on them. He's mean to them. That's how Bill said, but the guys are responding. They want that. They want to be coached. They want to be pushed. It just sounds like so many good things from all the new people that were brought in.
Oh man, Rick, sometimes I wonder, like, they need to hire me as a consultant, man. I'm just telling you, I've been saying these things.
I know you did. You said Jared all last year. I know.
I kept saying strength and conditioning. I would tweet about it. I would say strength and conditioning. There's a play when Marv calls the right call. Guy comes off the edge, has the quarterback sack. Quarterback spins out of it, throws a deep ball. Safety gets lost in coverage, and Clemson has a dynamic play and a touchdown. That's strength and conditioning, not just coaching and awareness, but if you hit him right, he's tackled. It's a 7-yard loss. They're punting. The truth of the matter is Jared Ferguson's always been that guy. He's been around that program. The same reason when I saw Pride tweet about how, like, wow, this a DB guy is really good and this, that, whatever. I really wasn't familiar with him. I'm not even going to give – some fans were upset about that. I'm going to just say this. I could have told you a DB fits that coaching staff for linebackers, not because he was one of the best to ever do it, because he's been around, he knows how to coach, and he can recruit. He's recruiting my nephew and other players in the Tidewater region. And it's just like J.C. Price. When J.C. Price was the interim, I was on your show, and I was like, they got to keep J.C. Price. Look how effective the defensive lines have been since he's gotten there. Not just APR, but one year they led the nation in sacks.
Right.
So, again, Jared Ferguson understands toughness. He understands the importance of conditioning. They weren't conditioning like that last year, which was appalling. They weren't conditioning during the season. Tech, look, I'm just saying it because I can say it. Tech was soft last year. It was soft. That's not to take a personal shot at the players, like, because I'm some old guy sitting back. It's just they were soft, and they won 6 games. Imagine now with mental and physical toughness, understanding your assignment and having a scheme.
Right.
You got to give them a chance to have 8 or 9 wins, even with some tough games on the horizon. You can win because at this stage in college football in the ACC, Clemson is a sexy pick because who else are you going to pick to win the conference? Louisville's getting the benefit of the doubt, which I find surprising, but kudos to Louisville. NC State, to me, is a modern-day Virginia Tech. They always get picked, but they don't really seem to finish well.
They don't do anything, right.
And then you got Miami, who has never won the conference, but they keep getting picked. And that's good. That means Christmas is going to come this year and the sun's going to set, because we can always count on those things as well as Miami being picked to win the conference. So truthfully, yes, am I being condescending and sarcastic? Absolutely, because the gist of my point is the conference is wide open. So even though if you're a 6-6 Virginia Tech team, everyone's going to watch out for SMU. Here's my point. Watch out for Georgia Tech. Anybody can win the conference this year. Nobody had SMU in their conference championship game last year.
No.
Nobody. I would even throw UVA as a dark horse, not because I think they're going to be great. It's just because football is very simple. You get some confidence, you get a scheme, you get some kids that believe, you know what you're doing, you make the right adjustments, you're going to be in a position to win the conference. You're going to be in a position to win the game. But if you're calling timeout and in the post-game presser, they did some things we didn't see, or we got to be better on third down. Fans were tired of hearing that, because the question I was getting, what are you doing during the week to prepare? The game against South Carolina is going to be won now, not on Sunday. It's won Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In your strength and conditioning, your film, your adjustments, your timely plays, knowing the down and distance, having plays and players that know how to adjust in situational downs. That's when the game is won. It's not won on Twitter. It's not one with old videos and flashback to Chick-fil-A kickoffs, because Darrell Roberts is not there anymore. He's not going to run a kickoff back. We got to have a new guy run a kickoff back. So creating those new memories, but also really having a plan and playing with a sense of urgency. I felt last year against Vanderbilt, when Tech came out there, I can't remember because I won't watch that game, but I believe Vanderbilt was up 17-0 at one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right on the shoot. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, what did I say to you that week when you had me on? I said, Virginia Tech has to be the team that come out because in the beginning of the season, the first few weeks, you don't want to sleepwalk. And I felt like they came out as if Vanderbilt. I kept telling people, "Oh, it's Vanderbilt." I'm like, Virginia Tech can't talk like that anymore. The arrogance of our fans. "Oh, come on, Vic, it's Vanderbilt." I'm like, "Oh, come on, guys, we're Virginia Tech." We've lost the benefit of the doubt. We've lost that. Oh, hey, they got Tech this weekend. We're looked upon like Vanderbilt right now.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, it's exciting. We're in game week next week. We'll get your take on South Carolina, Virginia Tech. We haven't seen a lot from Tech. We don't know. There's a lot of questions, but a lot of good vibes heading in the right direction. And you're right. Nobody's got all these unrealistic expectations this year. You see hope with the changes, but now you're right. Everybody's like, fool me once. You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe anymore, right? Just like Beverly Hills Cop. I got to make movie references with you because you always get them because you've seen it.
Yeah. Listen, really quickly. I'll say this. That's a good thing for Tech. No expectations from the fans and the media. Like it's historically, I know that sounds idiotic, but there's some programs that do better when we look at them, they say, "Oh yeah, or whatever." It's like Tech has done better when they don't have the expectations because I'm going back to even the Beamer era. That 2014 that won the conference, nobody had them. They were picked by the media to finish near the bottom of the ACC because in 2003 they underachieved mightily with a very dynamic, talented team. So I think that's kind of similar. I reference that because I feel like people are just expecting them to kind of be a middle of the pack, win game, lose two, win two, win. I think Virginia Tech can really make a statement against South Carolina if they come out and play with a sense of urgency and have a scheme. South Carolina, they got a lot of holes to fill too. I said this last week. The pressure's on them. We don't know what they're going to do. The pressure's on them because they were a team like Virginia Tech this year where nobody really expected a lot. And then Shane caught lightning in the bottle, had Alabama on the ropes. And all of a sudden that momentum really carried them throughout the season. So we'll see. That's the beauty of all this, Rick. We'll see.
I know. We see. We go into it. It's so exciting because the slate's clean for everybody. And it's just, 0-0. And I'll be watching. I know you will be. I'll be watching week 0 whenever I see a game on. I'm looking forward to Kansas State and Iowa State, right? I mean, it's there. We'll watch it. So, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think too with the 12 team playoff, that's another benefit of the we'll see. I mean, because Alabama is not Alabama right now. They're still damn good. But my point being is like it's not just the ACC. I mean, you have a lot of openings right now for a program to make a statement and get in the mix. I think Virginia Tech's goal should be winning as many games as possible. Obviously, 9 or 10 wins, 8 wins, that would be a huge step. But also, to me, if we're in November and we're talking about if they win this game, they have a chance to play for an ACC championship. That is where we should be. That's a realistic expectation as far as achieving a goal. If we're talking you and I when I come on in November and they already have bowl eligibility and they're in contention to maybe make a run at their conference championship, that is good because in that November stretch they have Miami, UVA, and Florida State.
Right.
Right. So that'll be good. And Louisville. So I mean, again, do they have Louisville? Hold on.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they got Louisville. Those are games you want if you're in that.
I know
mix.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
So we'll see.
Well, brother, listen, great stuff as always. Appreciate your commentary and your takes, and look forward. Hope you have a great weekend. And boy, next week we get into game week. So there you go.
Yeah,
it's here.
Here we go. Appreciate you, man.
Stay safe. The best to your family.
Too.
All right, take care. There you go. Great stuff there from Dwight Vick. Great stuff from all of our guests. I want to thank Brian Seagulla for joining us, Andy Bitter, Brian Steinspring, and, of course, Dwight Vick. Thanks to you, smartest listening audience in radio, now the smartest listening audience in YouTube streaming, podcasting, whatever you want to call it. Tomorrow on the program, we'll be joined, I believe we got Will, we've got Mike Ashley, we've got Jen, the Gamecock girl, and whatever else may pop up on the Finally Friday edition. Be sure, please, go through and watch the videos, at least for a little while. Go back and like them all. hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Yeah, there's a little welcome to everybody, right? Everybody's welcome. And just go in and make sure you hit subscribe. Tell your friends. We got to get the subscribe numbers up, and we'll keep pushing that as well. Thanks to all of our great sponsors once again. And we'll round it out tomorrow, finally Friday edition, heading into week 0 of college football. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate the commentary. Thanks to our guests, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.